Welcome to the show. So we have quite the topic today, mind control. For many of us out there that have been in a cult or not been in a cult, I would wonder what the survey is. I'm going to have to take that survey. Um, what I do know, a survey we did take, is that 70% of our audience is spiritual in one way or another, and 30% of our audience is not. So it's about the same as Pew Research. So it's interesting. So, anyways, we do speak to the audience with somewhat of a religious overtone. I use the scriptures quite a bit, part of fixing my faith and working through it, but not so much now. Now we're doing more. We're thinking more differently about. I think I figured this out a while ago. And but now the channel's taken more of a flavor of XJW friends, and we realize part of the journey as XJWs is becoming friends with ones outside and realizing that there is a world outside of Jehovah's Witnesses, out of the religion. And that's an awareness that we're going to be helping to do across the summer, hopefully soon. We're just riding the wave. and that's all you can do in life, folks. You can ride the wave. So we talked a little bit about BEFREE, and that's part of the wave that's coming up. Last year we talked about it, and it happened. So we're talking about it this year, and it's going to happen. Here's the screen, the BEFREE. I have all the links in the descriptions of the emails, but this is the BEFREE protest, and it's going to be on September 9th, September 13th. Here it is. And that's during the National Suicide Prevention Week. Join concerned citizens in Washington, D.C. for a peaceful rally against human rights violations by high control religious groups. And no doubt BEFREE will have a table there and so on and so forth. So you want to get registered, put your email in, fill out this little form. Then they know you're coming. And if you have any other ideas, they're looking for other ideas. Share if you want to share a bit more, that helps. But it's a quick little form. So be sure to take a look at that. Next on the agenda was letters for change, and that's also in all our video descriptions. Just click it, and there's where we can make a change. Sometimes we get our stories out, and are they doing any good getting our stories out? We get them out on YouTube and so on and so forth. Well, the best place to get our story out, and I'm not going to say either is good because it's all therapy, in my opinion, but one of the best places you can get your story out is right here, Letters for Change. Now, what's this all about? It's a site that one of the ExJWs put together, and it's a US. It's growing. This is a growing site. I notice there's other icons on there. Welcome. It shows the purpose of the site, and you can contact them. So what do we want to do on this site? We want to go back to the home. We want to get a letter out. Let's see. You see, I'm in Canada here. You notice here you got to click I'm in Canada, or am I in the US? English or Espanol? Canada, English, or Francio? So we'll go English because that's what we are. Now, you can click locate my representative right there. So I'm in Canada here. I want to search for members of parliament, and all I have to do is put in my postal code. So, and it pulls up my parliament. Now I'm going to go back on this to, if I can. Oh, maybe I can go home or renew the page. There we go. Or I lost it. Oh no, here we are. What do I know? Okay, so if you're in the US, locate, you go Canada, United States, English. You're in the US, locate my representative, US, search my member of Congress. Again, you just put in your zip code. I knew it was different. Postal code up in Canada, zip code in the US. And then it'll find your representative. You can go back to that. I'm going to just close my window here. Now you can, holy crap, I lost it all my research. Imagine that. I can't do the show today. What am I going to do? You ever do that? Give a public talk and you lose it? Closed it all. Well, I've done that before. And hopefully there's a history here. So I'm going to pull up the history and see if I can find what I closed. 18 tabs right there. Restore it. Wow. Holy crap. You guys have me worried. I got a drink to this. It's just Pepsi. Okay. Getting back to this. I just want to close that. I didn't want to close it all. So you get your letter out to your member of parliament. You can copy. They have sample letters here and so on and so forth. Okay. Here's what I want to talk about next, and it's got to be face-to-face. There we are. We're going to move on. Any other announcements? I wanted to say hi to a few people. K. Fred. Hello, K. Fred. Carly. Hello, Carrie. Carrie Leakham. Leakham. I said that wrong last time too. And Cindy Lynn. Hello, Cindy Lynn. Nice to have you. Marty. Hello, Marty. And K. Fred, you said hi. Justin Florenzio. Hello, everyone from Orange County, California. I like your icon. Justin. And Marty. Hello, Marty. Can't stay long. Well, glad to have you, Marty. And then we have Queen of Flatulence. Hello. Beautiful and amazing. Thank you. Okay. And we have Rational Mensch. Rational Mensch. Thank you. Hello. Okay. And Ricky Bobby. Hello, Ricky Bobby. Eric. Hello. Glad to have you. You had a long show the other night there. 4 hours. 5 hours? 5.5 hours. You know, I think of some of the people in this community, the dedication, the commitment, just online there, taking calls hour after hour. Like they don't get paid. There's no organization here paying anybody or saying, hey, are you signing up? There's nothing like that. It's all voluntary. You know, Rick opens up a platform and people jump on and stay on to help people. I think that's how it works. Shaq Composer, hello. Nice to have you. And my good wife in the background, nice to have you. This show wouldn't happen without you. Okay, with that said, we're going to carry on. We have 25 people online. I know you guys can't see that because I was on a show the other night. Now I know what you can see and can't see. Can they? Oh, okay. Well, I'm showing 21. So we have 21 people online. What I wanted to talk about a little bit is seekers. And that came up in conversation the other day, seekers. Are we seekers? What's a seeker? Well, I just plug things in and research it a bit. Well, seekers, a definition of a seeker. Here it is. I'll pull it up on the screen for you. Is right here, a device used in moving an object, a missile, especially a religious seeker, or one who aspires to enlighten, nirvana, salvation, or God realization. A religious seeker. What are we? Are we a seeker? I think for a lot of us, we are. We're seeking. I know for me, that's what it is seeking. I just plugged it in again to this Bible tool, and these scriptures all of a sudden appear and they seem to fit. Matthew 6:33 says, "But seek first the kingdom." Well, I'm not really doing that when I look at that. But then I go to the next scripture. That's what I like. I'm like the Watchtower. I just kind of pick and choose what I what I like. I take it with a grain of salt. You can't follow every little thing because it's the book's all over the place, quite honestly. It does say one thing and then say another thing. Like what I realized on this channel is just not all ExJWs. I was looking at one of the comments the other day, and it was a person that's born again. And then I got to realize, well, you know what? Probably lots of people leave the JW and might become born again. And maybe I said a few things about born again, but I like born again people, quite honestly. When I was a JW, I loved talking to born agains because you know how many doors you got to knock before you get a door that you can at least talk to someone, and maybe some of them born agains talking to me knock some sense into me somewhere along the line, and that's why I'm here. I'm not a JW no more. So born agains, I like born agains. And the other thing I like about the born agains, they don't belong to this big thing, like cult. It's not like that. There's flavor. And we were talking to, where was it? Was it on Eric's channel? We're watching, and they were no, Jonathan from ExJW Analyzer. And he said when he left, he went to this group, and the minister would get up and give a talk. And he said it was a progressive type of a church. Yeah, progressive Baptist. And then at the end, you could all go into a room with the minister and work him over. He said there'd be 30 people in there working him over, and he'd put his hand up and work him over a bit. And arguing points. That's what I mean. Like JWs do at the door. They'll argue points all day long. They'll go in it's circular reasoning, right? Goes back to the governing body and back to the governing body, and we know how that works. Okay, let's carry on. I get carried away. Matthew says, "Ask and it will be given you, seek and you will find." Oh, but the progressive thing. So they work the church over. Jonathan puts his hand up, works him over, and he says, Jonathan said, the preacher sits back, gets up. "Hey, guys, great job. Thanks for expressing yourself." And they all go and, I don't know, have a beer, have a coffee or something. And that's it. The guy doesn't defend himself. The priest, the Baptist minister does not defend himself because the truth doesn't need defended. And sometimes, I think Jonathan was pointing this out. The guy said, sometimes people just need to express themselves. They just need to be heard. So that's what I want you guys to do on this channel. We want you to be heard. I don't have any of the answers. I'm just trying to fix my faith. But every time I open this Bible up, I find different things and I share it on the channel because that's kind of part of it, I guess. But Matthew talks about it when we talk about seeking. Remember that? Ask and it will be given you. Seek and you'll find. Knock and it will be opened. For everyone who asks receives, and the one who seeks finds. And to the one who knocks, it will be opened. Or which one of you, if his son asks for some bread, will give him a stone? Or if he asks for a fish, will give him a serpent? Or then who are evil know how to give good gifts to your children? How much more will your Father who is in heaven give those who ask him? So You see, we know we're in a cult right off the bat because this scripture doesn't work if you're a JW. You can ask and you can seek, but you can't go past the watchtower. That's the thing. You can't go to heaven. You can't go beyond. You see, they even say, Jehovah's Witnesses use this terminology. They say beyond what is written. I had elders come to me, well, you can't go beyond what is written, Vern. So if I could show them in a watchtower, that's what's written. They believe that's God's word, like a Book of Mormon. It is like that. And in fact, that's where they put their new light. And the JWs right now will put their life on it. They will go to that concentration camp, that FEMA camp, at the flip of a dime right now. And if the governing body told them to sell your houses, immediately sell your houses and get the money into our house fund thing, and we'll get you into the camp. We'll reserve the fund into our golden stocks, and then once this is all over, we'll refund everybody their money. We'll disperse of things. You see, that could happen. And they're ready to do that on a flip of a dime, these JWs. So this is why we know it's a cult, right? They just had an assembly last summer, and I'm not going to cover that on this program. It's so new, that assembly. We're going to actually target children. We're going to show you, not target children, but we're going to show you how they target the children. So anyways, if you start seeking, you're going to find a lot. If you start looking at your religion as a JW and plug it into the internet, you're going to find things that are scary. So, but the Bible here says to ask and to seek, to knock and to find. Eventually, it's going to be open to you. And I believe that God is going to reveal, well, everything that's hidden will be revealed. We do know that. But anyways, that's all I wanted to say on seek. Seeker definition. We read that. Okay, now we're going to this guy. We're going to programming. And we're going to cover a couple of things. We're going to show you how mind control works. Before I show you the JW clips, I did a 6-minute clip of a bunch of JW stuff, and it's obey, be blessed, and listen. Obey, listen, be blessed. And it seems to be the theme all the way through JW.org. And when you become a Jehovah's Witness, by lesson 42, you learn that the governing body is next to God. And you can't go any further unless you accept that. And I don't know if it's lesson 42. I've seen it here. Did I keep it here for everyone? Where is it? Yeah, article 42. Oh, study article 42. Are you ready to obey? And they have it all over the place. It's not just here, it's all over the place. You obey your parents, obey superior authorities. Now that's limited. And they'll say things and do different things, but that's limited. Yeah, I'm not going to get into that. That's not today's show, not on the superior authorities. Now, what I'm getting at is obey direction from Jehovah's organization. There it is, and this is what they're preaching all over the place. It's in Watchtower study articles all over the place. Obey and be blessed. So they're viewing Jehovah's organization as God's literal word, as God's only organization on earth, God's only direction. This is it. And this is why we know it's a cult, right? Now, and I'm going to let this play through. Now, this is from, before we get into the JW stuff, because I don't want you as an audience to be programmed by the mind control that they have. It's actually very serious. We're going to get into this and show you the mind control. But first of all, let's show you how they do it. And then I'm going to show you next how they admit to doing it. Okay. I'm giving you a lot of, I'm going to show you is right. Now, this lady is Jessica Connor, PhD. And I've emailed her. She's emailed me back. She's given me permission to run this email. She knows who I am, an ExJW. She knows that we're working with people like ExJWs coming out of the cult and that they need help. And this is one of the videos that I've ran this before. I just run the whole thing. It's a really good video. I don't want to interrupt it because it's said right here. It'll be about 10 minutes I'm going to run. I'm just skipping the beginning. And there will be a link to this in the video below when I'm done here. Okay, here it is. I'm going to put it on full screen here and silence myself. So here we go.
Seven years of life. And that's why poor people stay poor and rich people stay rich. 95% of our life, this is a fact, comes from those programs in the subconscious. Every day, only about 5% of the life are you using conscious, which is creative. 5%. The movie The Matrix is not science fiction. It's a documentary. Every human, and this is a fact, every human first 7 years is download hypnosis. 95% of our life is coming from the programs of life, how to live life that we get in the first 7 years of life. And that's why poor people stay poor and rich people stay rich, because of the programming. A child below 7 has a lower vibration than consciousness. It's called theta. Theta is imagination. Oh, that's how kids play a tea party with mud pies, but to them, it's a real thing. A kid rides a broom, it's a horse. That's theta, imagination. Theta is also hypnosis. And the idea is this: before you can become conscious, if you don't have any programs, what are you going to be conscious of? What kind of programs are required to live on this planet? I say, how do you get them? So nature makes the first 7 years. You just watch. You watch your parents, you watch your siblings and your community, because you have to learn how many 100,000 rules. Think about it. Just to be a functional member of a family and a functional member of a community, there are rules. Teach an infant these rules. I say, oh, you don't have to. First 7 years, they observe it and just download it. Theta is hypnosis. This is the unfortunate fact. 95% of our life comes from those programs in the subconscious. Every day, only about 5% of the life are you using conscious, which is creative. And you don't see it because it's called subconscious, below conscious. The Jesuits, for 400 years, they were boasting. People didn't understand. They say, give me a child until it's 7 and I will show you the man. They've been saying that for 400 years because they knew 7 years was the program period. And 95% of your life after that will be whatever that program is.
You have been programmed to not think for yourself. And if you have a strong reaction to that statement, then it only confirms that this is true. Most of the responses that we have to everyday life and the decisions that we make are not our own. They are programs that run automatically in the background of our lives via our limitless subconscious minds. And you can learn to create new programs of your choosing once you understand how this works. And I'll discuss that in this video. We learn early on in life to instinctively seek approval and often only follow what others have taught us to do. When we are young children, we are moving through life unconsciously and living from our inner world, as Dr. Bruce Lipton just stated. And then we begin to learn more about this physical life from our authority figures, peers, environment, and surroundings. In other words, the outer world begins to imprint itself upon us. We learn what is deemed as acceptable and what is not acceptable, and not all of this is a bad thing. However, the consequences of learning what some in our environment may deem as acceptable, such as how much money a person can create, or how a person should live, or the types of relationships that we should maintain, might not be in alignment with what we truly want for ourselves as adults. Those consequences come in the form of approval or reward, and on the other end of the spectrum, disapproval or punishment. When a child doesn't conform to the expectation of others, the disapproval commences. This can cause a child to feel the intense emotions of being unloved, unhappy, or even guilty for wanting what they want. Those intense emotions are registered and recorded by the subconscious mind. And because these types of feelings don't feel so great, a child instinctually learns to mold their behavior to be in alignment with winning the approval of others by thinking like them, behaving like them, and eventually believing like them. Where social learning is concerned, our brains literally reward us for following what others do. So ultimately, a child can become programmed to conform and be like others through this process. Social conformity is an invisible force that affects how we think, what we do, and how we manifest our lives, because our brains naturally seek out peace, ease, approval, and synchronicity. Watch this experiment to see how this can carry on into our adult lives.
There's this crazy idea that's blowing up on TikTok, and it's a concept called quantum jumping. Get this, proponents of quantum jumping claim that you can amplify your...
We set up a hidden camera experiment to see if this woman would stand up at the sound of this tone, simply because everyone else is. You might be thinking you'd never go along with this. Or would you? After just 3 beeps, and without knowing why she's doing it, this woman is now conforming perfectly to the group. But what happens if we take the group away?
Elaine, please.
Okay, now she's alone. The crowd is gone and nobody is watching her, except our hidden cameras. What do you think she'll do? She's now conforming to the rules of the group without them even being there.
Now watch what happens when they introduce another outsider who doesn't know how the rules of this waiting room work.
And they'll be out in just a couple minutes. Great, thanks so much.
Everybody was doing it, so I thought I was supposed to.
Think she'll teach the new guy what to do? We kept the cameras rolling as more unsuspecting patients arrived. And slowly but surely, what began as a random rule for this woman has now become the social norm for everyone in this waiting room. And it's why even this rebel, who wasn't standing for any of this nonsense, eventually joined the ranks. And the only thing more shocking than seeing how easily conformity affects the way you act is that similar forces are subconsciously shaping the way you think right now.
Unfortunately, through this process, we can learn things from others that create programs within us that aren't always accurate or helpful, or that can even be detrimental to the things that we truly want from life. And this doesn't always happen because someone intended malice towards us, but merely because that's the program that they learned when they were younger. It's a cyclical process. Because of this, society or the outer world is often more interested in telling us what to think rather than how to think. We don't learn to question what we learned. And then this causes a sense of unhappiness because you're following what others wanted for you rather than what you truly want for yourself. So how do we recognize these programs? By our responses to life. Anything that causes us to react in an emotional way is a program. This is why I said at the beginning of this video that if you have a strong reaction to hearing that you're programmed, it will only confirm that your programming is true. These programs reside on the subconscious plane, and they respond faster to life than our conscious minds can process. In other words, our thinking, behaving, and acting is often automatic in nature rather than conscious, because it resides on a subconscious level. But you can use the same natural programming mechanism within you to manifest your life in very deliberate ways. You only need to consciously input new programs in the place of any old programs that are blocking your success. Here's Dr. Lipton again explaining how to reprogram your subconscious mind.
The conscious mind is creative and can learn in any number of ways. Read a self-help book, go to a lecture, listen to this program, and conscious mind's going to get some awareness. And I go, yeah, but subconscious mind doesn't learn that way. I go, right, it doesn't. Subconscious mind learns in two fundamental ways naturally. Hypnosis, which is the first 7 years. And after age 7, how do you put new programs in? Repetition, practice. You want to drive a car, you didn't learn how by just getting in the seat and put the key in. You had to practice driving the car. You want to learn the alphabet. How many times did you go from A to Z? Try to go to A to Z before you can complete it. And once you completed it, you didn't have to go back and do it again. So 2 phases. You want to train the subconscious mind, hypnosis, repetition. I like the last one because there's a new phrase that's bandied about called fake it till you make it. Meaning, if you're not a happy person, I say, you want to be a happy person? Then repeat all the time, I'm happy, I'm happy. I say, well, you don't look happy or anything. I say, no, who am I talking to? By repetition, I'm talking to subconscious. If subconscious gets, I am happy, and 95% of your life comes from that subconscious, there will be a point once the subconscious got, I am happy, you don't have to say it again.
As Dr. Lipton states, hypnosis and repetition are how the subconscious mind creates our programs. We can also use hemi-syncing, which I talk about in my masterclass. There's a link to that in the video description. And once we understand how our programming drives our thinking, behavior, and daily actions, and how those things affect the outcomes that we create, and how we manifest our lives, it gives good reason to change any of those programs that keep us stuck in recreating the experiences and circumstances that we don't prefer. Because most people find that the majority of their programs do not empower them when they understand how this works, they make the decision to drop that programming and come into conscious control of their subconscious thinking. And when they do this, their entire lives change in drastic and dynamic ways, and they begin manifesting their dreams easily and effortlessly.
Okay, you should hear me now. Okay, well, thanks to you, Universe, for that production. I've watched that several times. Every time I watch it, I glean more information out of all of that. And but some of that stuff, I wonder if it was staged a bit. You think all those people standing up with the ringing of the bells, like, come on, who's if if you went into a waiting room and they're ringing some bell like that, are you going to stand up? Like, because a bunch of goofs are I don't know. Maybe a person's mind would think, like, now that I've seen it, I wouldn't stand up. But maybe if you first go in, you've never seen this before, and you think, oh, maybe I have to do this to get to see the doctor. Because I notice people get to go and see the doctor. And maybe if I don't follow this conformity, I won't be able to see the doctor. Like, I'll be a rebel. And so that means I'm not going to follow the rules. It reminds me of the virus when you had to wear the masks and you go to the doctors. If you weren't wearing a mask, you weren't conforming to the rules. So yeah, we do conform. This is a part of it. I guess we do. I did conform. I had to wear the mask. So I did conform. When the bell rang, I wore the mask. So, because I wanted groceries. Okay, this leads me to the next question. The next point of our program. Let me see, where are we? Videos. I reopened some of this stuff, so it might not have opened properly. Oh, there's one. Okay, so for the next part here, what I want to show you is, oh, hello, Ruby Quinn. Nice to have you on. I enjoyed your shows. I was watching some of your shows. I don't get a chance to watch everything of everybody's, but we peek in and out, and we see you on a lot of programs in the community. Like, you're just such a great supporter. Keep up the great work. Now, who else did we not say hi to? Tier 5, I think, and JM. Hello. So there we go. And Nancy, I am Nancy. Great to have you guys. And Tier 5, I said hi, yes. Okay. Lots of repetition on the broadcasts. Well, I have ran this before. There's lots of new people coming out. And with new people coming out, they don't see all this stuff. I don't watch everything. So, you know, it's all my programs aren't exactly the same. They're not reruns. That's a rerun because I got permission from her, and it's a really, really applicable to mind control. So, okay, if you can follow through on the rest of the program, I think you're going to enjoy it. It's right here. Let me pull up the screen. Now, we're going to get into, I got it here, a clip, the governing body. I got a couple clips to open up. Let me just, there. And this is a governing body clip I got sent to me a while ago. We're going to look at two, not the Anthony Morris one right at the moment here. But we're going to look at this one. This got sent to me from somewhere. It was kind of a leaked video, I think. Someone took it from the audience. And it is the Mark Sanderson. And you can see that these guys know that they're controlling the audience. They know how to control the audience. And they know that they can control the audience at a young age when children are growing up. They're 7, from 1 to 7. That's the most influential time. They're hypnotized, according to that Universe video, when these children are growing up. So here's the guy, Mark Sanderson. He knows what he's doing. The governing body, they know what they're doing here. And here's how they're doing it.
Set free from what? Paul says, from the slavery to the fear of death. Now, why is that significant? You see, people who are in fear of death are constantly afraid. And as a result, they can be manipulated and controlled.
Okay, so he's right up front to the audience about how to manipulate and control people. It's by fear. You use fear. Okay, another method that they're using is by getting the governing body. Well, the governing body uses fear. They use fear of Jehovah. So the first thing that the governing body does is they convince their audience that they are of Jehovah. They are from Jehovah. And I think we covered some of that. They have to obey the direction from Jehovah. So what we're going to look at here next is a little video clip I put together. And I'll see if I can pull that up. I put together a little collage of videos that show them obeying, listen and obey. So let's just see where we're at. Clips. There we go.
The governing body could be likened to the voice of Jesus, the head of the congregation. So we really...
Okay, so we should have an audio there. I'll put this on the screen here. Now here, you should be able to hear me in the background. Here, the governing body is representing themselves. The governing body's representing themselves as the same as Jesus. If you're listening to the governing body, that means you're listening to Jesus. Now, for years and years, it was always them and Jehovah, but now they want to make sure that they're including Jesus in this too. So if you're listening to the governing body, you're obeying Jehovah and you're listening to Jesus. So here it is. I'll just play that for you guys.
The governing body could be likened to the voice of Jesus, the head of the congregation. So when we willingly submit to the faithful slave, we're ultimately submitting to Jesus' authority and direction.
Listen, obey, and be blessed. Listen, obey, and be blessed. Build a life which our never will stand. Listen, obey, and be blessed. If you be happy and enter his rest, listen, obey, and be blessed. Listen, obey, and be blessed. When you hear God's will express, if you be happy and enter his rest, listen, obey, and be blessed. Listen, obey, and be
So at this point, if you grew up as a JW, this programming is all the way through, especially now with these videos and how they're really showing off these videos. We're going to look at what they say about these videos and who they're using to show off these videos. They call these videos tools, and they tell the audience that they should take these tools very seriously. But through this next strip, we're just going to see the continual bombardment of information and how it feels. So I just demonstrated there, listen, oh baby, blessed. In that song, that particular kid's song was like 6 times. I just chopped out the other parts of it. So I'm just going to let this play. There's another 5 minutes. And this is how the programming is. Sorry if this hurts, but I'm going to let it play. Here it is.
In fact, we have many opportunities to listen to Jehovah, Jesus, the faithful and discreet slave, the elders in our congregation. In fact, we have many opportunities to listen to Jehovah, Jesus, the faithful and discreet slave, the elders in our, and would have been motivated to obey Jehovah's approval. If we don't pay attention to how we listen, we could find ourselves becoming critical or unappreciative or even disobedient. Of course, all of us should remember that our everlasting welfare will depend on our willingness to listen and obey. How grateful we are that Jehovah is providing ongoing life-saving instruction by means of his word and organization to what we are doing ourselves. By doing so, we'll avoid falling into the trap of disobedience, as King Saul did. Instead, as attentive and obedient servants, we'll enjoy Jehovah's friendship forever.
They obeyed Jehovah because they were his friends. Then one day, the king of Babylon told everyone to bow down and worship a statue. And anyone who didn't would be thrown into a fiery furnace. Would the 3 Hebrews give in to the pressure of the king and everyone else around them? Of course not. They knew that only Jehovah deserved their worship. If they obeyed him before, they knew they could do it again. They declared, "Our God whom we serve is able to rescue us, O king. But even if he does not, we will not serve your gods or worship the image of gold." Jehovah's friends always obey him. But how did Jehovah rescue them? What? Make time every day to learn from Jehovah's friends. What do you think? How did Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah show that they were Jehovah's friends? When is it hard for you to obey Jehovah? And what can you do to obey Jehovah like they did?
Okay, children, do you have your songbooks? We are going to sing Song 120. Listen, obey, and be blessed. Are you ready to sing with us?
If we have listened to, listen, obey, and be blessed. When you hear God's will express, if you be happy and enter His rest, listen, obey, and be blessed. Listen, obey, and be blessed.
Okay, before we get into lesson 2, obey Jehovah. So you notice, folks, the main theme here is obey, and Jehovah equals the organization. We've already determined that from that Watchtower Study 42 article. Like, this is clear stuff. This is baby stuff for any JW. Like, they know that the faithful slave is the same as Jehovah. The Watchtower is the same as the Bible. And it's what is written. You know, if you go to an elder, you got to use the Watchtower. That's how it is. You don't go beyond what is written. In fact, you could find a scripture that explains your narrative, and they will go to the Watchtower, and the Watchtower will say, no, this is what we believe in. Like we talked at the outset, how many people find that they can go to churches and ask the pastor or the minister what, you know, questions, and no one gets their back up against the wall. No one's disfellowshipped over it. So you see, the obeying this supposed God's chosen organization, like I have trouble, I choke when I say that, but this is what JWs believe. They're programmed to believe that. And if you're programmed from birth, this is how they're doing it, from infancy. They're programming them from infancy. Now here's lesson 2, obey Jehovah. Obey the Watchtower. Jehovah equals the Watchtower, folks. So let's carry on and see how this programming works.
Sparlock, attack! Oh no, it's Sparlock.
Caleb.
We need someone to save us.
Caleb.
Sparlock can activate your
Caleb.
magic, Sparlock.
Hi. How was school today?
Fine. Look at Sparlock's magic
Caleb, what toy is that?
It's Sparlock, the warrior wizard.
Whoa, a warrior wizard.
I have to jump on here. I'm sorry. So we've all seen this commercial, this cartoon that they play the kids. I just want to go back. Now this looks like something that you'd get out of McDonald's. You know how you go to McDonald's and you buy the Happy Meal? And sometimes there's a little plastic toy in it like that. That's what this looks like to me, folks. And this is how JW.org is programming their children, is to demonize everything. You see, this isn't in the Bible. This is just a religion getting into the minds of the children and using fear. Now, I don't want to play it again, but we would just watch Mark Sanderson get up there and say, it's all about fear. That's how you control people's minds. That's how you control them. It's the easiest way to control them is through fear. Now, there's other ways that we are controlled. Our minds are controlled. All of us are controlled. We're going to talk about this in a bit. But anyways, I wanted to stop here. This looks to me like a McDonald's toy. And I thought, how petty this organization is. You know, I'm glad I left long before they came up with all these cartoons and stuff. Like my children didn't go, we used to go to McDonald's after service and we'd open up little Happy Meals with little toys and they'd play all day with that stuff in the car while we were out in service. You know, I guess I was a bad JW. Here it is.
Was he a wizard?
Whoa, a warrior wizard.
Yeah, my friend gave it to me. All the kids are going to see the movie. Can I see it too?
Oh, your friend gave this to you. You look pretty excited about this. Why don't you come over here and get your snack, okay? Is this toy magical?
Mm-hmm.
Caleb, who likes magic? Jehovah or Satan?
Satan.
Right. Magic is bad. That's why Jehovah hates it. Do you really want to play with something that Jehovah hates?
You see, there's a loaded question. Is this toy magical? What a question, eh? Is this toy magical? It's a piece of plastic, for crying out loud. It was made in a mold. They make millions of them at a time. They hand them out at McDonald's all over the world, these little toys. Like, it's magical. And next thing you know, they're going to be demonizing Ronnie McDonald. They do that. JWs, they demonize the Smurfs. When I was in it, it was the Smurfs. You couldn't buy a Smurf. They were demonized. I don't know why they were demonized. They're cute little things, but they're demonized. Everything's demonized in this religion. And this is how they use fear, folks. This is fear. That's a piece of damn plastic. This isn't magic that moves objects or something that it's a little magical guy with a wand. So what? It's based on some cartoon, probably off TV. You tell me which JW didn't watch Disney World, right? The Magic Land of Disney. Isn't that what it is? The Magic Land of Disney. It's all about magic. Yeah, the Magic Kingdom. And you know, that was the very first place that JWs took me, is down to Disneyland. We drove all the way there from Alberta. I was probably in it for a few, 3-4 years. Oh yeah, they go every year. Magic Kingdom. You know, all the magic, you see. But do they do that today? Well, I heard that they have stocks and bonds into Disney Magic Land. But yet, you see, that makes them money, right? That makes them money in the stock market in New York or wherever. This is the rank and file. We don't want the rank and file going to McDonald's and buying packages like that have magic toys in it. We want them donating more and making sandwiches to eat on the road. I don't know. But did you notice that these videos are all about obeying? Every time it's obeying, and I was in the songs, I didn't want to play all the songs, but they would be out in a fruit field or out bicycling. But when it came to obeying, listening and obeying, they were all out in the ministry. That was just back a bit. And they were in the ministry over and over again in the ministry. Listen, obey is about being in the ministry, folks. And if you're a child, they're programming the children from infancy, right from zero, that they have to be in the ministry. And if you're not in the ministry, you're not listening and obeying Jehovah. You see, the Watchtower uses Jehovah to crack the whip. That's how they put the fear into the people. If you don't do that, you're not obeying Jehovah. And it's brainwashed over and over and over again. They can't even play with toys. We're going to play the rest of this.
Do you remember who we learned about at family worship? Who is this?
Adam and Eve.
Right. Did they obey Jehovah?
No, they disobeyed Jehovah. And he got very sad.
So what if you disobey Jehovah and play with toys he doesn't like? Do you think Jehovah will be happy or sad?
Sad.
Yeah. Do you want Jehovah to be sad?
No. I don't want Jehovah to be sad with me.
No, I don't want Jehovah to be sad with you either. So what do you think you should do with this toy? Caleb, I am so proud of you. You made Mommy very happy. And you know who else is happy?
Jehovah.
Yes. Jehovah loves you very much for obeying him, Caleb. Hey, you know what I want to do?
What?
I want to go ride bikes.
Yay!
Let's go.
Okay, thanks. I'll just close this. Close that. That's how they program the kids, and they're doing it now with movies. So obey, obey, obey. And it's not just the children. We've seen the clips. The governing body is doing it in all their talks. This is an organization that is really pushing the obey. Okay, we're going to move on. And what do I have here? I have, yeah, this is what I wanted to show you guys. Okay, I'm going to put this on the screen here. I was doing my research today, and I go on to their site, and I plugged in children. Lost my search. Children. When I plug in children on their site, I want to look at videos, for children. So you can go to their website and you can plug in videos for children. Did I do that right? And go back to the home. Their library, videos. I want to look at videos. And I want to look at videos for children. There it is. So you look at the videos for children, you click there. And then comes up, because this is who they're programming, folks. They know this is how they program. If they can start from children up, by the time they're 7, they're hypnotized. It's the deepest level of programming that you can get. And if you're coming out of this organization and you grew up in it, that programming's deep. But guess what? Now, if you're an infant now, it's brutal. They're using videos. This video stuff is just, the depth of programming is unbelievable. And we just played a bit of 6 minutes of this stuff. This is what the kids see every day. Every day. Now, when you go to their video lessons here it is. You have, they have it split into video lessons, songs. We played one of the songs, and dramas. Now, video lessons. So you go see all. Well, holy cow, there's a lot of video lessons, a lot of topics. And we did the one there on obey. But there's a lot of lessons here. Now, I wanted to show you something. Way up here in the lessons. Oh, look at this. Anthony Morris. Look at that. Lessons that last a lifetime. That caught my interest. Like, why? He's gone. I thought they fired this guy. Like, you guys know about Anthony Morris, right? Well, here's the guy. Well, if you don't know about him, I'm going to play this clip first. This is who Anthony Morris really is behind the scenes, and he was caught. Everything revealed. Now, this is old news, folks, but I'm going to play it anyways, because this is the only guy that they have under their children's column making this big announcement. Well, let's go back and see what he says here. You guys know about his bottle gate. I can play it here. It's actually really nicely done by these guys out of, what's his name? I'd have to look at his channel there. But anyways, let's play this video. This blew me away.
It's hard to believe it's been almost a decade since that first release in 2012. In that time, the Become Jehovah's Friends series has proved to be a real gift from Jehovah. Through these Bible lessons, children can learn to be kind, to be honest, to be respectful, and to develop other godly qualities that help them see and obey the one who is invisible. How can we begin to understand the far-reaching impact this series has had on Christian families? We're going to let Christian parents tell how these videos have helped their children to become Jehovah's friend.
Katie Ann had a really hard time working together with the older brothers and sisters in the congregation.
I had a really hard time because they're kind of slow. But lesson 25, making friends, was just what I needed.
So this whole part of the video is, I'll get a little bigger screen here. Oops, there we go. Okay, this part of the video, I was kind of a little bit taken back. It's all about getting these young children really comfortable with older people in the congregation. And we already have an organization that has an issue with this problem and so many cover-ups of this problem. And here we have this guy, Anthony Morris, who disappears, and Watchtower's not telling us why. It's all secret. We don't know why he left. Are they leaving him here because they figure, well, they pulled a lot of his other videos off the site, but they didn't pull this one off the site under children. Why not? Could it give a false perception of him if they had to pull this video as well? Because there are rumors. So it's interesting how Watchtower plays things, because they really want to cover things up. But here, this video is all about Anthony Morris promoting these children to be with other adults, strange outside the family, within the congregation. And yet Watchtower gets up and says, we have nothing to do with our children, or with being outside of their families. That's what they're saying. And this is all about promoting the children to be with other adults, to go out in service and things like that. Let's watch this. Keep this in mind in the programming. And this is how they're programming the young children to be comfortable with other baptized Jehovah's Witnesses. And some of them could be questionable. They hide so many things. So let's look at this, the rest of this.
We spent a few weeks discussing the videos during our family worship evening. The videos helped her to be more open-minded, be more respectful to the elderly brothers and sisters, and want to work with them in field service.
Sophia likes chatting with Sister Elsa, even though she's so old. So I can do that too.
These videos strengthened my relationship with Jehovah. I know that he hasn't forgotten me as a single parent. It can be so hard for single parents because they're trying to take on the role of both parents.
I got baptized because I love Jehovah with my whole heart. Jehovah still loves me, even though I'm made from dust and I'm so little.
Okay,
He took some of the weight off my
look at how
shoulders.
young she is. Talk about young kids. Like, here we are in Norway, and they're saying in Norway that they really, young children really don't get baptized that young. Look at how young she is. That's a pretty young girl to get baptized. And then they send them door to door. They become little robots. This is from infancy, folks. This organization is training the children to be little salespeople of an organization, of a big multi-trillion-dollar corporation in 289 lands, now a movie producer. Now these little children are handing out business cards that have a link. You just link your phone to it, and you got the Watchtower. That's what they're programming these children to do. You're only listening or obeying Jehovah if you're out in the ministry. Over and over again in their songs. And now they're showing these little kids, you should be getting baptized. That's what this is teaching the children. Get baptized young.
I'm so little.
He took some of the weight off my shoulders.
Laura, our middle child, was perfectly healthy until she turned 4 years old. That's when she was diagnosed with a rare tumor in her central nervous system. Unfortunately, when the treatment was over, Laura passed away.
Even while she was sick, she just loved watching the videos. Her favorite one was Let's Go in Service. This video really made her want to talk about Jehovah.
During the time that she was receiving chemotherapy treatments, which lowered her.
Again, favorite video, Let's Go Out in Service. Okay, folks, I don't know. I raised my kids in a different era, but there was no favorite video of theirs, Let's Go Out in Service. The kids hated service. They hated getting up Saturday morning. Kids need their sleep. Kids need a day off too, but this organization doesn't give you a Sabbath. There's no Sabbath day. There's no day of rest. a day that you sleep in, you don't go anywhere, you don't do anything, nothing. And in this religion, you have to drag your kids out of bed and force them to go out in service. And you're going to entice them. Hey, we'll take you, we'll run you through McDonald's or something like that, Burger King, or we'll go get an ice cream or something. We'll go out for an hour. You know what it's like. There's no kids that love service. This is BS, but this is programming. You see, in them days when we grew up, they didn't have this programming. My kids didn't get this kind of programming. It was still there. We were pushing our kids to do this, but could you imagine now with all of these production level videos? And this is in the children's section. This is all in the children's section, folks.
This video really made her want to talk about Jehovah.
During the time that she was receiving chemotherapy treatments, which lowered her immunity, we couldn't even leave the house with her. But sometimes we'd bring her to get a checkup or get an exam done. And the doctor would say that everything was fine for now, that her immunity was okay. And the very first thing that she'd say to the doctor was, "So I can go in the ministry, right?" And the doctor would laugh and say, "Sure you can." And our family would take advantage of those times to go in field service together, as a family, all together. That made Laura so happy.
It does us good to remember why the Become Jehovah's Friends series was created. These videos were not designed as mere entertainment to simply pacify children for a short period of time. These lessons were designed to help children build a relationship.
We miss him, eh? I'm not going to play much more of this, but here's what he says. These videos were not
designed as mere entertainment to simply pacify children for a short period of time.
Yeah. We kind of miss Anthony Morris.
How do you their friend now and forever?
Anyways, that's that. Okay. Okay, what do we have? Ruby grew up with dramas, DVDs. The David drama used to be my favorite one because of the violence. That's cool. My kids grew up with Bible story tapes, cassettes. I don't know. My son put them on all night. They liked them. We used them as a pacifier. Yeah, there's some drama. My kids all grew up. I don't know. I hate to say I'm aging myself. Let's carry on. Next question. Okay. Congrats on Vern shedding. Thanks, shedding. Yeah. Never seen these. It pisses me off. Yeah, some of this stuff does piss you off, eh? But you know, it's good that we talk about it as for those of you that are ExJWs. We're survivors. We got out of it, eh? And I think we're survivors because we're truth seekers. We're seekers. You know, we hear the word truth seekers. JWs like to think that they're not seekers at all. They are listen, obey, and fear. Listen, obey, fear. You see, I erase those songs. Listen, obey, and be blessed. Sorry. You rewrite the record on all of this stuff. That's the important thing. Rewriting the record. So Anthony Morris, I'm surprised they left him there after Bottlegate. I'm not going to play Bottlegate because everyone knows Bottlegate. But I want to move on this talk about how is mind control used and how mind control is used in an authoritarian type religions. Now, this article is done by Deborah Christensen, and she's ExJW. You know how I know? I read part of the article. This article examines the role of mind control, why someone joins a authoritarian type religion, a controlling type. And you can listen to this. I'm going to link this in. But I wanted to cover it with you guys. I thought it's an ExJW covering it, and it's really good. Now, fearing your own thoughts. She says, so I wanted to talk a little bit about thought control, manipulation, mind control, and some of the ways this can be evidenced. Now, I don't know if you guys want to read this. Do you guys like reading along with this stuff? I can make it bigger so you can see it. There you go. Now, she says, fearing your own thoughts. Have you ever feared your own thoughts? Authoritarian religions get people to fear their own thoughts. This is very manipulative. Now, folks, we just seen all of these videos. Listen, obey, be blessed. It's all about fear. Mark Sanderson gets up and says it himself. We know we can control people with fear, and they do it. So Jehovah's Witnesses fear their own thoughts. How are you taught not to trust your own thoughts and thinking? I know in Jehovah's Witness, I was taught not to lean upon your own understanding, Proverbs 3, verse 5. And this scripture was used to literally teach that I was never to trust what I thought, along with another scripture. Jeremiah 17 and 9 says, a heart is more treacherous than anything else and is desperate. Who can know it? Remember how many times they'd pound these scriptures out at us. Every other day, they'd be pounding these out at us, either in a day's text or Watchtower and Awake, usually in theocratic ministry school. And we were taught not to trust any instinct or feeling in our heart. Yeah. She says, I was taught that the only knowledge deemed worthy to listen to was that which came from the organization, came from the governing body. Those guys are viewed like gods. Now, God can read your heart and discern all your thoughts. Now, in JWs, we were taught that God can read your heart and that even thinking about a certain action is a sin. We were taught that. Yes, we were. Now, Matthew 5, verse 27 to 28 says, for example, we were taught to say, I say to you that whoever looks at a woman to lust for her has already committed adultery with her in his heart. So we were taught that. The interpretation of this was that someone who thinks about committing a sin and fantasizes about it, in this case a sexual sin, is just as guilty as someone who commits adultery or fornication in the eyes of God. It's true. So be careful what you say in an elders meeting. They might ask you, well, did you think of, you see, they'll work you over in an elders meeting. I know that from experience. That they'll get, well, what were you thinking? They say that a lot. Well, did you think about doing that? Did you think about, they want to catch you premeditated, right? So, and then they got you. They once you're premeditated, it's a death penalty. It's fellowshipping. I'm just saying, if you weren't thinking about it and it just accidentally happened, then you might get a warning. That's how it works. Now, the interpretation of this was that someone who thinks about committing a sin fantasizes about it, in this case, sexual sin, is just as guilty. Yeah. So the after effects of being taught this as a child or as an adult is that it can make you frightened of natural ways of thinking. You see, I don't want to get into it. I'm not a sex therapist, but you talk to any sex therapist or family therapist, and you'll get a different answer than what JW.org teaches. And that's why they don't encourage family therapy. If your family's all in a mess, they don't encourage family therapy. You know what they tell you? Go home, read the Watchtower, pray, and go out in service. And watch, now I can imagine what they're telling. Watch all the videos. It's a big website. You can never get through that website in a night. Never. There's so many videos on that website. So I could imagine now they would say, go home, start watching children's movies. That's how they'll get adults. Watch the children's movies and then work your way up. Because that's how I got programmed. They started me in the Bible Stories book, and then they worked their way up. So, so that's how they program the deep, deep subconscious. So here, this lady says, you suddenly catch yourself being in fear and feel that you constantly have to ask for forgiveness. So you do a lot of that inside of yourself. you know, as a JW. Hopefully not as an ExJW, but when you were a JW, for those of you online that are. And whenever you are thinking things you believe are bad and unworthy, you have to keep asking God for forgiveness, repenting, or maybe even confessing to elders or church leaders. Yes. That seems to be the way it is in lots of religions, even. You're always looking at the church or organization for approval and forgiveness. Isn't that a fact? Well, I wonder what the elders' books, or, well, you don't get the elders' book. I wonder what the elders think. And so if it's a real difficult question like marijuana, did you know that's in the elders' book, marijuana? Yeah, if you have a doctor's prescription, you can get marijuana, and the elders' book says you can grow it if it's allowed in your state or country. You see, in Canada, it's all legal and stuff. It's easy to talk about it here. But yeah, it's in the elders' book now. So I could see if I was an elder and someone came up to me and said, "Hey, I want to smoke marijuana." What? Are you kidding me? Like I would be taken, I'd be floored. I'm thinking back to when I was a JW, right? I'd be floored, even as an elder. And then they go home and look in the elders' book and say, "Holy crap, this is in here." And what it really says, as long as it's private, you can't make it a public thing. No one else can really know about it. You have to be really secretive. I don't know how you do that with marijuana because it really stinks. Anyways, I got a cough. After talking about all that marijuana stuff. Okay. Obviously, as humans, we have thoughts every day that we would not want others to see or know about as they occur, right? That's normal. That's natural. And we look at someone and think, "Oh, wow, you look pretty good. What gorgeous biceps." Or, "I feel so angry. I could throw something at you." I felt like that so many times. Not that I throw anything at my wife or anything, but I'd go into the shop and maybe take a jar and just throw it at this concrete, listen to it. I don't know. I wasn't that bad. But here's the thing. You think you're not that bad until you ask someone else, "Am I really that bad?" Do that as an ExJW. Do I have moments of aggression, or do I have moments of confusion? Do I get lost? Do I start talking and then, "Where are you? Vern, do you guys experience that, or is that just me?" Anyways, you guys tell me in your comments, because it's, if you're really honest with yourself, you accept that you're an apostate, and this isn't easy, accept that you're an apostate of the org. You don't have to be an apostate of the Bible, of God, of Jesus. You're an apostate of the governing body. You're not bowing down. We take that illustration, we flip them. The illustration, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, that's you and me. We don't bow down. We quit bowing down to the idol, to the governing body. Their elders' book. They're liars. The guy with the spear is the elder. He pokes you out the door. Once you're out the door, you're in the fiery furnace. No one can talk to you. It's torture. It's torture. We all know it, right? But it's not. But we're the hero, because it seems like there's something that helps us. I don't know. And that's the spiritual side of it. If you want to think spiritual, you can. If you don't, take it as a metaphor, whatever. But we can flip those illustrations, folks. They apply. They're written in the Bible. They're not written just for JW.org. These are written for all of us to learn from. Their parables, their illustrations. And that's how I read that one. Because I didn't bow down to the governing body. I don't accept their word. What they get up and say is verbatim. They said they're not inspired. They're admitting that more and more now. So anyways, I'm way off topic. This lady says, "We're taught it is evidence of having an evil heart and untrustworthy mind." And that's what we were taught. The fear of eternal damnation. This fear is either dying at Armageddon or being judged, burned in hellfire, or, well, they don't push hellfire like the JWs, but being judged and dying at Armageddon, right? And, yeah, let's say Armageddon happens tomorrow and I'm not a JW, they believe that you wouldn't make it. Apostates are really viewed bad, but it's okay. I feel good. I wouldn't want to be on the other side when Armageddon comes. If there's an Armageddon, if this is all, any of this stuff is real, but if I play that game, I wouldn't want to be in that religion after what I've seen happening in all the courts, Montana and everything that's going on with that religion. I would not want to be a part of it. That's just how I feel. But I'm not saying that if you're in the religion that it's, I was in the religion for 30 years and I don't know, it wasn't the worst place on earth to be, but good thing I didn't need a blood transfusion. Could have died prematurely. So you always have to think about that before we recommend it. And I'm very hesitant to, even though I had some great adventures in the religion, I did unassigned territory and all of this stuff. I would have never done that, I don't think, anywhere else. I don't think so. Like I don't know. I seem to have a really exciting life in that religion. I went to different islands and did security systems and stuff like that for Watchtower at my own expense. But, you know, even as people, we go on holidays and do things anyways. And then you feel good that you've done something. You know, even today, if I went to Africa and helped them build a solar system for some school or something, I'd feel good about that. Even if it was a Baptist school, you know, it doesn't matter. You know, it doesn't matter. Okay. So we were taught that if you sin against God's Holy Spirit, you are eternally damned by God and you're never forgiven. Yeah, if you become an apostate, that's the worst. There's no turning back. You see, according to their doctrine, I can't get back in. I've made my choice. That's why when we do this, that's why not a lot of people want to do it. But according to their religion, there's no forgiveness. But it seems like they're loosening up the belt buckle on that one, because they want people back in. And I've heard that they know people online that are online doing what is supposedly an apostate, and they want them back in. So I don't think there's any hard and fast rules anymore in this one. But we were taught this, you know, back in the 80s, the 90s. I left in 2012. We were taught the same thing. God is a jealous and vengeful God. We were taught that. We're often given examples of how how God is like this. One incident is that's often quoted was when the prophet Elisha was taunted by young children, and the scriptures in the Old Testament speak about God sending 2 she-bears to rip them to pieces while they're still alive. And this was because they yelled taunts at Elisha, who was God's prophet. Remember, they called him bald head? Don't call me bald head. Yeah, I remember that. They have Bible stories on that. Fearful. They just work people over with stuff like this. The interpretation was that if we question the organization and we say that they are not God's representative, they're all bald, eh? Well, no, some of them have hair. Yeah, that's what they tell us, that would be like questioning God's organization, and he's gonna, who knows, send 2 she-bears to rip you apart. So there's a lot of fear for leaving the religion. So the way these things are taught is to enforce obedience to the hierarchy of the organization and create fear so that we dare even think these things, because we'd be so frightened that God would judge us. And we're therefore told to feel that we need to constantly control our own thoughts and be on guard against them, which creates anxiety. That's a good point. You know, when you're always guarding your thoughts, you don't want to, I can't think that. You know, depending on the person, you know, you have to vent eventually. And lots of people explode. Lots of people drink. Lots of people take pills. Like, I knew people that were taking painkillers, like too many of them. They said they had lots of chronic pain, but they were always popping painkillers. Anyways, Fear of not being good enough. That was a big one. Often in authoritarian religions, we're not always living with the thought that belief we could lose our salvation. Although we're taught it's a gift, JWs have to witness certain number of hours per month. See, that's kind of going away, the number of hours. Meetings were never miss meetings, even with several young children and back in the day. 5 meetings a week. Remember that? 5 meetings a week, guys? Who here online was in those eras, the 5 meetings a week era? I can't believe some of the crap we put up with back then. We were strongly encouraged to always be on time, give talks, and be 50. Some brothers would get there half hour early, and then they'd stay. If you're an elder, you'd sometimes would come home at midnight. Elders would have these meetings, and it's all about judging. They got to figure out ways of judging people. Did you know the word judicial, is in the elders book 337 times? Now, do you always, so you always are busy pre-studying? They got you pre-studying, studying, going to meetings, witnessing, and so much that you don't have time to think of anything else. And that's the truth. That's the God honest truth. So keeping you busy all the time is a way of controlling your mind. So there's a part of the mind control, keeping you busy all of the time. And now with their website, they send you home and it's endless videos to watch. You're always busy. They are always in your mind. And you don't have time to read, examine, or think about anything else. So unhappiness is always a spiritual problem. If for some reason you're experiencing some unhappiness in your life, in your marriage or your personal life, and you go to speak to the elders, often you're told it's a spiritual problem. Yeah, do you remember that? They tell you it's a spiritual problem. You might have problems in your marriage or something. So you're taught that you'll be happy if you read the Bible more, pray more, do more witnessing, and attend more meetings. So usually if it's a woman that was having trouble, they don't want the elder. Let's say it's an elder, elders. See, what happens oftentimes, folks, an elder's wife is unhappy. Elders' wives, many of them are very unhappy. And their elders spend all this time worshiping the governing body, because the governing body is their God. Their elders' book is their God. It's secret. It's a secret elders' book. They feel very important. And most elders develop narcissistic tendencies, although not all of them. My uncle John, he was an elder, and he got deleted because he wanted to side on the side of love when it came to disfellowshipping. He didn't want to disfellowship. He didn't think that was right. But we had these other elders that were harsh, and because they were more dominant, they had what they called a presiding overseer. They were presiding overseer. So you have 3 brothers in the body. One was a presiding overseer. One, I think Uncle John might have been a service overseer or something. And then you have another brother. I think Uncle John was a secretary even. I don't know. But you get these 3 brothers in there, and the presiding overseer, they're strong-willed. And if they feel they should be disfellowshipped, they're going. Or you're going as an elder. You're the 3rd elder. You're one of the elders. And he went. They deleted him. They make ways of deleting you. So this is how it is. So you're taught that you'll be happy if you read the Bible more, pray more, do more witnessing, and attend more meetings. And that's how they fix you. So instead of encouraging personal responsibility, personal growth, healing, self-awareness, problems are seen as being a spiritual problem. And the implication is that you do not do enough. And you would be happy if God gave you more of his Holy Spirit. And obviously he can't, as there must be something you are doing wrong. That means you aren't happy. Yeah. You're not doing enough. So often you go to an elder with a problem, they're going to imply that you have the problem. They're going to flip it on you. These guys aren't spiritual counselors, or these guys are not counselors. They're not family counselors. And the problem in this organization is they're using elders as doctors and family practitioners and healthcare providers. There's professionals out there that work in this field of helping people that are having problems. And you know what they're all going to say? They're going to say, quit going to that damn religion. Go spend some time with your family. That's what they're going to tell the husband. Quit being an elder. Quit worshiping the governing body. And they're going to sit him down and they're going to say, are you putting the governing body over your wife? And he's going to say yes, because that's what they're taught. And the family counselor is going to sit back and say, holy smokes, do we ever have a cult here? We have problems. You see, this is a real problem, and that's why we're having these programs as ExJWs. This is a cult. You can't help them. It has to be identified as a cult. This is why we have a petition in all of our descriptions too for Canada. We're trying to stop it as a charity, like Norway. And we have to identify these types of religions as cults, not religions, not charity religions that help organizations and help people. They don't do it. Now, the other thing they do is they losing God's spirit. If you're not happy, the elders may say, well, if you're not doing something wrong, maybe your family has lost God's spirit. I've been blamed on that. This is what I had to carry my whole life. I'm glad someone else put it in here. It's exactly it. If you're not doing something wrong, maybe your family has lost God's spirit. Your husband, children, or friends. They were always trying to, well, you know, kids grow up and experiment. It's normal. Lost God's spirit. Lose all your privileges. You know, in that way, it encouraged people to have a really critical attitude. I really became critical of the elders. I looked at them as pharisaical. I'd look at the elders, and I ended up, we sat on the couch, counted. I've been into 7 congregations through the 30 years. 8 if you count when I was first introduced, but my records went to 7 when they established records for you. 7 congregations. And all the congregations, after about first 3, yeah, I started looking and seeing that, okay, there's Pharisees and there's Jesus-like elders. Like there's Pharisee-like elders and Jesus-like elders. Every congregation. And then you'd kind of scope out the Jesus-like ones and the Pharisee-like ones. And, I always had a critical attitude because I had some reason. I don't want to talk about it today. You are looking at each other and always judging. Always. And then this is one of the dangers coming out, is you carry that with you. We carry that with us outside, and we're always judging our mates, judging our children, not doing enough service, not going out in service enough, as well as judging yourself harshly. You're also judging intimate family members and those closest to you. And as you are frightened that if you hide their sins, you'll lose God's spirit too. So there's a lot of telling on each other and a lot of not loyalty. Not a lot of loyalty. There's no loyalty in a marriage. None. Loyalty to the organization is first. They call it Jehovah. Loyalty to a spouse or family members comes second. It has to be God first before family. So in this way, it is controlling your thinking, controlling your mind, and controlling your actions in a really subtle but powerful way. Very well put. Fear of losing God's approval, fear of eternal damnation, fear of being judged by God is not good, fear of your own thoughts, all pushes you to look at an organization rather than yourself as a source of guidance. So, yeah, there's a bit of information here. Let's see how far down it goes. A lot of stuff there. Okay, I don't know if I want to cover it all. That's a lot of stuff. I want to move on. Okay, we're going to move on to this next topic. We all know the program. We're programmed. We come out, we're programmed. Are you hypnotized? This was an interesting bit. We're just going to look at a bit of this. This lady has a book. I guess they all have books. How is it possible that we can be hypnotized and not knowing it? A definition of hypnotism. Let's look at this. Let's make this big for you guys. A definition of hypnotism is big can we make that? Yeah. The definition of hypnotism could be, I'm right here, believing something is real even when it's not. That's what being in, I think, most religions is like, especially JW.org, because you're believing that the governing body is really God's chosen channel on earth. That's what you're believing. Do you believe that? Of course you don't, because you're not in it. But the JWs, they really believe that. They will lay their life on the line. In fact, they will die if they need a blood transfusion. They will go to jail in Russia or any other country that deems they have to go to jail for this organization. They believe it's real when it's not. It's just men. It's a corporation. And they're keeping their doors open, hopefully, with their videos. That's how they're hoping to do it. Mind control. So our minds are filled with beliefs and interpretations of our past that we think are real, but in reality, often they're not. And thoughts like I'm unlovable, I'm unworthy, I'll always be fat, sexy is scary, the world's unsafe. We walk around with these thoughts on a repeat in our subconscious mind, and we respond to life robotically based on these thoughts. Our ego, authority figures, our past, our culture all contribute to programming our minds with false ideas. A Course in Miracles tells us beliefs are real to a believer, and these beliefs are not necessarily the truth. It's not true that you are unlovable or unworthy or that you will always be fat, but we believe they are true. And then they become our truth. You see, that truth determines our experience. And we can see the obvious example in terrorists or in Nazi Germany, and they believed they were doing what was right by murdering certain others, but clearly they've been programmed into wrong-minded thinking. And you could not tell them they were hypnotized, though, because they wouldn't believe you. Likewise, we firmly hold to ideas that aren't even true. So there's so much truth there. So you can't tell a Jehovah's Witness that you're hypnotized. But we know now that they are. We are. You see, as ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, we can still be hypnotized at the root with some of them beliefs. And so the only way to change those beliefs is to rewrite the record. And the only way to rewrite the record, I could have played more of that video, but is to do what we're doing here today. You spent an hour and a half. Some of you have stayed on the whole time. And this is part of rewriting the record, putting new information over the old information. So I was going to cover a bit on mind control. It's brainwashing, persuasive thoughts. I think we covered that enough. Now, this I thought was really interesting. This is right off JW.org. Are all religions the same? Do they all lead to God? The Bible's answer is no. They're not all the same. The Bible contains examples. So they get into category 1, worshiping false gods. And category 2, worshiping the true God in the way he does not approve. And here's what I thought. I always go to the bottom of their articles. Here's what I thought that was interesting. The religion that is clean and undefiled from the standpoint of our Father and God is this: to look after orphans and widows in their tribulation and keep one without spot from the world. That's James, by the way. It's what James says. And that's what it says. That's what the Bible says. If you're a religion that is, it's right here. If any man thinks he's a worshiper of God but does not keep tight reins on his tongue, he's deceiving his own heart. And the form of worship that is clean and undefiled from the standpoint of our God the Father is this, right here: to look after orphans and widows in their tribulation. And that's really love, brotherly love. You see, and right there, that's not happening. Jehovah's Witnesses shun their brothers for no reason. They shun them. If you can't leave the religion, or you be shunned if you decide one day you want to leave. And the elders will come and visit you. He said, no, I am clear. Make me a do not call. I'm not going back. They're going to, you're going to kind of shun them. Well, no, you're just not going back to the church, the Kingdom Hall. That's all. Do they have a right to go back to the Kingdom Hall? Hey, Vern Hoole is now disassociated himself from the organization. And they go to the territory servant. Okay, on Vern Hoole's address, I want you to put do not call. We're not going to call on him. We might call every 2 to 3 years. We might, if we're not busy. But in our opinion, he's dead. All you said is you didn't want to go back to the damn Kingdom Hall because you're afraid you might die in a car accident if you don't take a blood transfusion if you needed it. You don't agree with some of the stuff there. That's why you don't want to go back. And they seem like Pharisees. Maybe you say to the brothers, I'd like to worship Jehovah on my own. I'm going to do it on my own. I don't need to go to the Kingdom Hall to worship Jehovah. I can do it here in my house. I can zoom in if I want, watch videos if I want, but I'm going to worship Jehovah on my own. You see, that's what I told them. I told 2 brothers that. And they make sure there's another elder there. Then they go back and announce it. You're gone. And you can't leave the religion. But here it says, the form of worship that's clean and undefiled is to actually look after orphans and widows. It's nothing. They shun people for no reason. They're not looking after orphans. They're not looking after orphans in their own church. They're not looking after the elderly seniors coming out of Bethel. So that's what James says here. It's really clean. I'm glad that JW.org recognizes that. Right here on there, are all religions the same? Do they all lead to God? You see, with their own literature, they've disqualified themselves, their own literature. This literature disqualifies them. They don't meet what a pure religion has to do to be clean. And can a clean and undefiled religion be out there covering up CSA? Absolutely not. There's so much of that in all the religions, really. So we carry on. I always come back, and I'm going to end here. Acts 10 and 34. So Peter opened his mouth, said, truly understand that God shows no partiality. So as far as I'm concerned, there's no partiality. Take away religion. Take all the word religion, throw it out, and now look at people. There's a God. God's looking at people, not the buildings and the institutions, but God's looking at people individually. So that's what Peter's saying. God shows no partiality. Doesn't see religion. God did not invent religion. People say he did, but he didn't. That he does not belong to a religion, because a religion means to believe in a deity. And if you're the deity and you're at the top, you have no religion. You are it. You see? So Acts 10 and 35 says, but in every nation, anyone who fears him and does what is right is acceptable to him. So it's not about a church. There's no right or wrong church. It's not the Mormon church, the Catholics, or the Buddha or whatever. Every nation believes that there's a God. Fear him. What does it mean to fear God? Well, we've covered that on other videos. If you're a Christian, the whole law, everything, it's Galatians points it out. The whole law is fulfilled in one word. You can't make money on this, folks. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. You can't make money on that. That's why they really confuse you with a lot of things. That's what it's about. And Romans even goes on to say, owe no one anything except to love each other. For the one who loves another has fulfilled the law. And you're done. Love one another. Be a good neighbor. And for the commandments, you shall not commit adultery. It even goes on and talks about some of this. It says, The commandments say you shall not commit adultery, you shall not murder, you shall not steal, you shall not covet. And any of the other commands are all summed up in this word. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. You see, it covers everything, folks. Love does no wrong to a neighbor. Therefore, love is the fulfilling of the law. You know, one of the things I lived, my last part of my journey was out northern Edmonton, and we lived a mile away from what they call a Hutterite colony. It's like Amish in the U.S., but Hutterites. There's some Hutterites down in the U.S., Denver, some spots, I think, but there's a lot of them up in Alberta and throughout the prairies of Canada. But I'm going to say it as a privilege. I had the privilege of living next to them for several years. It was a good experience. It was a different experience. But the one thing that they believe is they believe in this really, really hugely. And they follow it. You shall love your neighbors yourself. Love does no wrong to a neighbor. Therefore, love is the fulfillment. So they try their best. And I know they went and helped different neighbors with different things. They came and, you know, we had I made some hay. It wasn't the best. And I was going to burn it. But they gave it away. They came and got it. It was good hay. It was okay. And they gave it to a farmer who had crop failure, and they helped him out. Don't expect anything. And they went to great expense. So love of neighbor, it shows up on all kinds of different ways. And it's powerful. It's very powerful. So that brings an end to our program. Hello, Lisa, the humble bum. It's hard not knowing if I will ever see them in the afterlife or not. I might have got in on your conversation up here. I think humble bum, right? Yeah. So, hey, thanks for everyone for being on. Is there any questions I'm missing? Anything? No one's let me know. Usually my good wife lets me know. I get into these programs and I get focused on it. And today I kind of dumped my program, and fortunately, Google history worked, brought it all back up. But you know, I gave a talk once, and I was a ministerial servant for 2 years. And I got up, I was able to give public talks. I was in this small community of 30 people, 30 publishers or so. 30, no, I think like 30 people. It was a small community. I moved out there and we wanted to help kind of and get away and whatever, start over or whatever you do when you're a JW. I ended up going through 7 or 8 congregations. But we went out there for a while, and they made me a ministerial servant and started pumping public talks at me. And I went up one day with my notes and I just ripped them all. It was on faith. The whole public talk was on faith. And so I ripped the notes up. And I asked the brother, I said, I need a garbage can up here. They brought one up and they're wondering why I needed a garbage can. And I said, because I want to prove a point. And so I said to the audience, if this talk is about faith, I should have faith that God's going to help me remember my outline if I throw it in the garbage, right? Like, why do I need that stuff if I'm going to speak from my heart? And so I took my notes and I ripped them all up and threw them in the garbage. And I said, now faith really works good. Then I quit talking. I started looking around. And then I let a little bit of silence go by, more than what I'm doing now. And then one of the elders started to get up, come up to take my place. And then I laughed and I pulled out, I said, I got another set of notes. I was just kind of jerking with you guys a bit. But I wanted to prove to you that there's blind faith as well. And that's what I was proving that point. Because sometimes you can say you have faith and I have faith. Like, what does that really mean? Come on. And that's when I started going off script. And after a couple of these public talks, they've deleted me. But really, I come back to this. There's blind faith too. Blind faith. Think about that one. That's another discussion. Another day. You guys let me know. I enjoy these discussions, by the way. And it's a lot of you guys in the audience that are giving us the ideas to make these talks. So keep it up. Keep up the good work. And we'll keep inviting you guys on the journey. So, folks, I'm going to head her. I smelled supper's cooking. It smells really good. So we're going to give you a song that we should leave by. Don't know. I got to do some new stuff. We're going to do some new stuff here. Maybe we just won't do much. Huh. Yeah. Yeah, that doesn't work, right? I didn't even hear that. Did you hear that? Did you hear that music? Oh, you did hear that, eh? Okay, I'm gonna go with this one. Now, a lot of you guys now have seen my good wife. We were on Linda's show the other night. So here we are. We're going to give you a dancing theme. Until next time, keep living your life with love. Bye for now.